I suggest give it a try. And refuge is mainly committing yourself to the path, right? I mean, why, right? I mean, why commit oneself to the Buddhist path? Because the other stuff doesn't work, right? I mean, if you're, getting on in life as I am, you've tried a lot of different things. It's and you get to a point somewhere along the line where you're just like, nothing else really works. Nothing else is consistent. Nothing else provides me with any kind of answer. Life can be a very empty, meaningless, lonely endeavor, right? If one is just out there saying, what can I consume, and how can I stay busy, and all the rest. So, I mean, if you haven't tried it, you should try it. Just prove to yourself that the other stuff doesn't work in some way. I was always a sort of try it and see person myself. I needed a fast sports car before I realized that it wasn't really the answer to all of life's issues. So pursue whatever your things are, perhaps. But we realize that sooner or later everything is going to dissolve. Everything's going to break down. We're going to get sick. We're going to get old, and we're going to die. And it's inevitable sooner or later, right? So refuge means I'm aware of this circumstance. I'm aware of this problem. I acknowledge the nature of this life. There is only one possible terminus to an ordinary life, and there is only one possible set of experiences. No, that's not the right way to say it. Our life will be mixed with plenty of problems and sufferings along the way, in an ordinary sense, in an ordinary capacity, right? Doesn't matter how strong you are, how young you are, how long you live. You're going to get a disease. You're going to have an accident. Something is going to get you. It's inevitable. Doesn't matter. So that's the reason for taking refuge, is putting some kind of faith and hope in this path to deal with that and to address that. Buddhism is about addressing death and what happens after death, right? And we do that all life long. We address that all life long through our practice and through our activities all life long. We go for refuge. If you're hungry, you go for refuge by going to the restaurant or the diner. If you've got a fire, you go for refuge to the fire department. Somebody's harassing you, you go for refuge to the police. If you're a kid, you go for refuge to your mom. But if you're dying, or if you're alive and aware that you're going to die, you go for refuge to the three jewels. The three jewels is the thing we take refuge in regarding death and the afterlife. So, because it can offer some hope. Now, can you prove it? Is it true? Is it real? Is it guaranteed? Is it assured? Maybe, maybe not. You have to check it out, right? I mean, that's what an educated Buddhist does, right? You've got to look into it and evaluate it and say, I don't know if I believe this. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't work. Let me look at it logically. Let me look at it experientially. Let me talk to people who've been doing it for a while, right? So, but there is nothing else out there that offers any hope at all, or any answer at all, or any solution at all to the death process and what happens after death, in any kind of credible way for me personally, I would have to say. So you may as well give it a shot, because there really are no other good options. You could say that at the very least, right? I don't know of any other path where they say, look, let's talk about death and let's talk about how to fix all your problems before you die, and then let's fix death itself and address death itself, right? I don't know of any other path doing that. So then the third thing we talked about last time is offerings. Excuse me. And we talked about it in some detail. Did anybody try it? Did anybody try to make any offerings since we last met? Mm-hmm. Yeah? Mm-hmm. Offer the sunset or... Mm-hmm. It's nice, right? Mm-hmm. It feels good, right? It feels very sweet. It feels very beautiful. It gets you out of the selfish mode, right? If we're making some kind of offerings, it puts our mind into some kind of more virtuous state, some more holy state, some kind of more holy state. And it takes us out of the mode where we're just self-obsessed and self-absorbed, and even if one's going to the store, one goes to the store and says, what might my Lama or my angel really like here today? It totally transforms the experience, right? Makes it a completely otherworldly event and undertaking. So it elevates life to a new threshold, right? And we talked about it. Why would one make offerings? Why are we going to put a cupcake on the altar and let it get stale and dusty? Is it because You know, we believe someone's going to come and eat it at night when no one's around and the lights are turned off. You know, I mean, why would we go and spend perfectly good money buying things, you know, sometimes nice or expensive things, and just sitting them there and then throwing them away? I mean, what's the point? What does it accomplish, right? And again, it's a statement, right? It's a statement of relationship. It's a statement of belief. There is no other reason why one would go out and spend perfectly good money to set something down for a while and then throw it away, unless you believed in the beings that you're offering to, right? I mean, there's no other reason to do it. It wouldn't make any sense at all unless you really believed in those beings. You had some kind of connection and faith in those beings, right? Connection to and faith in those beings. So if you don't really believe in enlightened beings, if you don't really believe they're around, then you can't get bodhicitta, right? Because what is bodhicitta? You want to be enlightened. I mean, if you want to become something you don't believe in, what? You know, it doesn't make any sense, right? So if you don't really believe they're enlightened beings and they can emanate countless bodies and they can be in all places at all times and, you know, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, all these different things we've talked about, if you don't believe in any of that, then what in the world are you doing? You know, why are you in a Guide to the Bodhisattva's Way of Life class, and, you know, why do you have an altar, and on and on and on, right? So, so it's not some devotional thing that you have to be into. It's making a statement, you know. It's making a statement and collecting karma. So these were warm-ups we talked about in the last classes, right? These weren't even the practices to get bodhicitta, right? These were 3 warm-ups we talked about before you even get into the collecting conducive conditions, right? So, what are these warm-ups to? Or what are these warm-ups before? What's the next thing we do to try to acquire bodhicitta or develop bodhicitta? It's the subject of the 2nd chapter, which is purification, which is what we're going to talk about tonight, right? Chapter 2 is about purifying our mind stream with bad deeds and negative karmas, right? It's the guts of the 2nd chapter of the Bodhisattva Charyavatara is purification. And we have to do those other 3 things that we talked about to be able to purify. If we don't do those 3 things we just mentioned, right? Prostration, offerings, and refuge. Is it refuge? Refuge. If we don't do those 3 things, we can't purify negative karma, says Master Shantideva, says the guide. Right? So we have to do those other 3 just to get to the point to be able to purify negative karma. Okay? Don't do the other 3. Don't purify negative karma. Right? Absolutely necessary preliminaries, like warming up before jogging or something like that. All right? So people think that spiritual things are somehow different than mechanical things in our world. Like take a car, for example, you know. I mean, you know, if a tire is flat, are you going to drive on the highway? No, it's not going to work. You know, if you turn the key and it doesn't work, and you know, you open the hood and you see that all the belts are broken, well, of course it doesn't work. You know, if the carburetor is missing, of course it doesn't work. Somehow people think spiritual things are different, right? We think, well, I can skip a couple of things that are taught. I can skip a couple of practices. It probably won't make any difference, right? What difference does it make if I skip a couple of preliminaries? What difference does it make if I skip a little purification? I want bodhicitta. I'm after bodhicitta. I'm not after prostrations. You know, I'm not here to learn about offerings. I'm here to get bodhicitta. Goddammit, you know. So it doesn't work that way. You know, if you leave out 1 or 2 important parts of your spiritual practice, then it doesn't work. Nothing happens, and then we just get frustrated, and we become, you know, middle-aged or older, frustrated Dharma practitioners wondering why we're not getting results. So let's not be like that, right? So getting to nirvana or enlightenment is just like a car engine. You know, all the pieces have to be there, you know, for it to work properly. And if the pieces aren't there, it's not going to happen. So you just get bored. You know, you just quit because you're not getting results. So if you're not getting results, probably something has been left out of your path and your practice, and you should revisit it and look at it, right? So, we're going to talk about purification today. Please say Tobshi.
Tobshi.
Tob means forces, and Shi is 4. Okay, the 4 forces. So the practice of getting enlightened, the practice of creating a Buddha paradise, which is why we're here, right, involves stopping all of our bad karma, right? Not collect any more bad karma, cleaning out and getting rid of all of the bad karma we collected previously, right? And then collecting some kind of amazing new virtuous good karma. Why? Why are those? Why do you need those three things to become enlightened? Why is that necessary? Why does it matter?
The obstacles
I'm just making it up. It's not necessary. What do you think?
The obstacles to your spiritual progress.
They're obstacles. What is enlightenment?
It's having part of it is having no negative karma or no negative emotions.
What is your experience in paradise? What would one experience in paradise?
The mental afflictions.
Pure honesty.
Like everything's perfect all the time, right? Everything's amazing. Everything's blissful. Everything's just peak experience, maxed out peak experience beyond our ability to even conceive of right now, right? So, and is that self-existent, or where does that come from?
It's cause.
Yeah, it's their karma's ripening, karmic seeds ripening, right? If you're going to have karmic seeds ripen into the result of everything being this amazing, incredible, blissful, mind-blowing good experience all the time, what do you need?
Get rid of the bad karma.
You need the karmic seeds. Karmic seeds aren't going to ripen into the result if you don't have them, right? You're not going to get a result that isn't caused, right? So if we want to achieve enlightenment, if we want to be happy right now, if we want our life to improve along the way between here and enlightenment, what do we have to do? Collect virtue, collect the causes, right? Get rid of the crap in our karmic pocket. Get rid of the negative karmic seeds in our karmic pocket. Get rid of all the negative karmas we've been carrying for countless lifetimes that are ripening upon us as limited life problems and suffering, right? How do you do that? What were the three things?
Frustration.
No. Three karmic things.
Purify that karma.
Think about how do you get a karmic pocket full of nothing but pure seeds?
Get rid of the
Well, think about a pocket full of
Pure.
stuff. Get rid of the junk that's in your pocket. Empty out the junk that's in your pocket, right? Stop putting new junk in your pocket, and
Collect good.
put good junk in your pocket, right? We call it junk. So that's all we're talking about karmically, right? You know, yeah.
So to get rid of, you can purify.
Yeah, that's karmic purification.
And to get positive ones, you just do good deeds and merit, develop merit,
Virtue.
virtue.
Merit, virtue, good deeds, whatever you want to call them. So if we're going to have the perception of happiness all the time, we must have seeds ripening into that perception. Therefore, we must have virtuous seeds. Like produces like, karmically, right? So we have to have collected virtue, which will ripen into the result. Right? And so that's what the higher teachings are about. Especially, we have to do sutra, we have to learn all these principles, foundation principles, and we have to move on to move on to the higher teachings, which teach us how to collect these incredibly powerful, heavy duty, massive, virtuous karmic seeds, which will ripen in a big way in this very lifetime into amazing results. Right? So I hope it's clear. I mean, it should be pretty straightforward. Yeah? Not getting anything. Yeah, you're good. Okay, we're good. So purification is the practice of wiping out the old negative karmic seeds we're carrying, right, in our mind stream, in our karmic pocket. So the lower schools of Buddhism, though, say it's impossible to do that. Lower schools of Buddhism say, no, impossible, can't do it. You can't eliminate negative karmic imprints once they're collected. The lower schools say, once you imprint a karma into your mind stream, it cannot be removed. It must bring its result. There is no way to eliminate negative karmas after you've collected them. So, and they say it's impossible. So the Mahayana school says that there is a way. So we have to tell you the name of the sutra that talks about it so that you don't think I'm making it up. So please say Chushi.
Chushi.
Tempe Do.
Tempe Do.
So Shi means for. Chu means Dharma. Dharma can mean thing. In this case, Dharma means practice. Also means teaching. In this case, it means practice. Tempe, which teaches, and Do means sutra. So it's the sutra which teaches the 4 practices. It was taught by the Buddha. The text is in the Kangir, and Gyaltsab teaches the 4 forces from this text. Okay. So the Buddha is teaching 4 practices, and according to the Buddha, if you have these 4 elements, you can purify past negative karma. Okay. And according to Master Shantideva, if you have the 3 preliminaries, you can do this karmic purification practice. Right. All right. So, further in the Diamond Cutter Sutra, it states that if you follow this practice, you can purify heavy negative karmas which would have resulted in hell realm births for many, many lifetimes. You can purify them down to a very small negative ripening like a severe headache. So it's also stated in the Diamond Cutter Sutra that it's possible to impact past negative karmic seeds to really dramatically lessen the result that ripens upon us. Yeah. So 2 sources, right? So get a short headache instead of a hell rebirth for millions of years or some such thing, right? So, and the Buddha warns his disciples. He says, look, if you engage in these practices, you probably will suffer. You probably will have problems. You probably will have negative things happening to you. Why? Because you are purifying these heavy past negative karmas, which are ripening as smaller unpleasantnesses, right? So, if you have some kind of illnesses, some kind of problem, and you're doing karmic purification, then you should absolutely rejoice that you've taken huge negativity and turned it into a much smaller negativity. Now if you're not doing karmic purification and crap is happening to you, sorry, it's just crap, okay? No, I'm not. It is negative karma ripening, and the seeds are consumed, and hopefully they're finished, and you haven't perpetuated it. All right. It's not necessarily the massive reduction of a powerful karmic seed. Okay, it may just be the ripening of an ordinary negative karmic seed. All right. So, anyway, so the Buddha says you will suffer in cleaning out this old dirty karma. It's like, I don't know if I remember when I first started doing yoga exercise, 1985. I would eat like a pint of ice cream every night, and a box of Pepperidge Farm Mint Milano cookies, and that would be dinner, and then I have a cup of tea, and, and eat some cheese and some sausage and whatnot.